Gun collectors are going head-to-head. Auction prices are breaking records. And one legendary revolver has sparked a frenzy across the firearms world, the Colt Python. Once a symbol of precision and elegance, now it's the center of online bidding wars, heated forum debates, and skyrocketing values. We're talking price jumps of over 500%, and no signs of slowing down. So, what's driving this madness? What makes this old-school wheel gun worth more than a custom 1911 or a modern precision rifle? Let's dive into the story behind the most controversial and coveted revolver on the market today. The Colt Python made its debut in 1955, and from the start, it wasn't built to be just another revolver. It was Colt's flagship, their masterpiece, the one they called the finest production revolver ever made. Chambered in .357 Magnum, the Python came with a full underlug barrel, ventilated rib, target sights, and a trigger that was buttery smooth right out of the box. But the real secret? Every Python was hand-fitted by skilled Colt gunsmiths. These weren't cranked out on assembly lines. They were tuned and tested until the timing and lockup were near perfect. That hand-built attention to detail gave the Python its signature feel. Shooting one is almost effortless. The recoil is soft, the action is crisp, and the balance, like it was designed to be part of your hand. It quickly built a reputation with target shooters, law enforcement, and anyone who wanted the best money could buy. Then came the pop culture explosion. TV, movies, video games. From Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead to big screen classics, the Colt Python became a symbol of cool, calm, and deadly precision. And despite all that attention, Colt still kept production low. That scarcity only added fuel to the fire. Back in the day, you could walk into a gun shop and grab a Python for around $800. Even in the early 2000s, prices were reasonable. Collectors knew they were nice, but they weren't chasing them like gold. Then Colt dropped a bomb. In 2005, they officially ended production of the Python. Just like that, the supply was locked. No more from the factory. And what was once a nice revolver suddenly became a collector's item. By 2015, clean examples were going for $2,500 to $3,000. But in the last few years, prices have exploded. Today, a mint-condition 1970 6-inch Python can fetch $6,000, $8,000, even $10,000. And it doesn't stop there. Rare variants, like the 2.5-inch snub nose or 8-inch nickel-plated models, have pushed past $12,000. Some unfired, boxed examples have topped $15,000 or more at auction. That's over a 500% increase in just over a decade. Even the 2020 re-release by Colt didn't cool things down. Collectors saw it for what it was, a solid modern tribute. But it wasn't the same. The originals? They're still in a league of their own. And now, everyone wants in. Investors, gun enthusiasts, even people who barely shoot, all chasing the legend of the Python before it slips completely out of reach. With prices reaching into 5 figures, you'd think the Colt Python would be universally celebrated. But instead, it's dividing the firearms community. Old-school collectors, the ones who picked up their Pythons in the 70s or 80s for a few $100, are looking around and shaking their heads. This is insane. People are just chasing hype. Back in my day, nobody cared about these things. Meanwhile, new buyers, especially younger collectors, see the Python as a holy grail. They're not buying it just to shoot. They're investing in history. They're chasing craftsmanship that's almost impossible to find today. The result? A clash between tradition and trend. Gun forums are filled with arguments. One side says the Python is a timeless classic that deserves every bit of attention it's getting. The other side says it's overrated, a symbol of inflated collector hype driven by movies and nostalgia. And then there's the shady side of the boom, counterfeits, frankenguns, and reblued rebuilds showing up on auction sites. Because when a revolver goes from $2,000 to $10,000 in just a few years, the fakes start to follow. Some sellers are passing off worn-out Pythons with reblued finishes or swapped parts as pristine originals. Others are buying beater guns, dressing them up, and flipping them for a profit, leaving unsuspecting buyers with overpriced Frankenstein builds. That's why the arguments aren't just about money. They're about authenticity. The Python isn't just a firearm anymore. It's a status symbol. And whenever that happens, the fight over what's real and what's worth it gets personal. Thinking about getting your hands on a Colt Python? Before you shell out thousands, There are a few things you need to know, because in a market this hot, mistakes are expensive. First, check the serial number. Colt's official records can tell you when it was made and which configuration it left the factory in. That alone can help you spot a swapped barrel or mismatched finish. Second, inspect the finish carefully. Original royal blue pythons have a deep, mirror-like shine. The bluing should almost glow under the light. If the edges look soft, the roll marks are faint, or the metal looks too perfect, it might have been refinished. Third, test the timing and lockup. Cock the hammer slowly, rotate the cylinder. There should be a firm, positive click into place. If the cylinder feels loose, or the action drags or misaligns, walk away. Part of what made the Python special was the ultra-precise lockup, and once that's gone, it's not the same revolver. Fourth, look for matching grips and paperwork. Original walnut target grips with gold Colt medallions add serious value, especially if they're serial numbered to the frame. And if you find a box, manual, and test target that matches the gun, that's collector-grade gold. And finally, know what you want. If you're looking for a shooter, you might be okay with some wear, maybe even a reblued frame. But if you're chasing a true collector piece, don't compromise. Condition, originality, and documentation matter more than ever. Because when the difference between a $4,000 gun and a $10,000 gun is just a few details, doing your homework is the only protection you've got. So, with all the buzz, the drama, the price tags, let's ask the question everyone's thinking. Is the Colt Python really worth it? On one hand, absolutely. This isn't just some dusty old revolver from the back of your uncle's gun cabinet. It's a hand-fitted, precision-built machine from an era when quality came before quantity. The trigger is buttery smooth. The balance feels natural. The lockup is tight. There's a reason top shooters and experts still call it one of the best revolvers ever made. And as an investment? Well, when a gun jumps from a couple grand to 5 figures in just a few years, people pay attention. Firearms like the Python, with historical value and limited supply, often hold their value better than modern tactical builds that come and go with trends. But on the other hand, is it all just nostalgia? Some critics argue that the Python's reputation has been inflated by movies, social media, and collector hype. They'll tell you there are smoother shooting revolvers today, with better ergonomics and tighter tolerances for half the price. And they're not wrong. Let's be honest, most people buying Pythons right now aren't taking them to the range every weekend. They're buying them as display pieces, investments, or symbols of taste and tradition. So whether it's worth it comes down to this. Do you see the Python as a tool or a treasure? Because if you're looking for performance per dollar, there are better options out there. But if you want a piece of history built with craftsmanship you can literally feel, then yeah, maybe it is worth every penny. Now that the Python's officially in the stratosphere, the next big question is, what's the next firearm to follow its path? Collectors are already speculating, watching closely, looking for signs. Some are betting on the Smith & Wesson Model 27, another high-polished .357 with deep history and law enforcement roots. Others are eyeing the HKP7, the squeeze cocker that's quietly gaining cult status as imports dry up. There's buzz around early SIG P210s, original FN-FALs, and even pre-ban AR-15s, especially Colts and early Bushmasters. Because just like the Python, all these guns share something in common: scarcity, craftsmanship, and a story. In the world of firearms collecting, that trifecta is what turns a solid gun into a legend. And if history's taught us anything, it's that the market rewards those who spot the next big one before everyone else. So keep your eyes open. Today's forgotten steal might just be tomorrow's $10,000 treasure. Perfect. Here's the outro and call to action to wrap up the video smoothly and powerfully. So here we are, one revolver, decades old, setting the firearms world on fire. The Colt Python isn't just a collector's dream. It's a symbol of craftsmanship, a lightning rod for debate, and maybe, just maybe, the ultimate proof that in a world of polymer and mass production, the old ways still matter. But now it's your turn. Do you think the Colt Python is worth the insane price tags? Would you pay $10,000 for one? Or is it all just hype and nostalgia wrapped around a 6-shot wheel gun? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from both sides. Tell us your take, share your story, or show off your own Python if you've got one. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most talked about firearms in history, make sure to like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss a story like this. We've got more rare guns, collector drama, and jaw-dropping pieces coming your way. This is where firearms history comes to life. See you in the next one.